Breaking down the Thornton Township meeting drama. Contracts, contradictions, and \$8000 claims ***. Let's rewind to July of last year when Catherine Granberry, a township employee of 12 years, was asked to perform at the TASE event. She agreed, and according to her, submitted a contract/proposal the same day after being asked by Angela, who said she needed to bring it to the board for approval. This was all set in motion about a month and a half before the event. Fast forward to the March 25th Thornton Township meeting, where Catherine stepped up to the mic, throwing heat at the trustees. And if you thought that was spicy, she showed up again at the most recent meeting, still throwing shade, still pushing her claims. But here's the thing. When you dig into what she said before versus what she's saying now, the contradictions start jumping out loud and clear. Let's break it down. #, contradiction number 1. Unsure approval versus full excitement. Catherine said in passing she asked Angela whether anyone's contract had been approved and was told nothing happened. So, at this point, she had no formal confirmation she was approved to perform. But then in the same breath, she says, "Me and my band, Lady and the Gent, we're excited about performing on the same stage as Kiki Wyatt." Hold up, how are you unsure if you're approved, yet fully hyped as if you're already booked? That's a huge contradiction. One minute, you're saying, "I don't know if we're in," and the next, you're talking like the deal is done. And let's not gloss over the Kiki Wyatt factor. Keek's no small-time local act. She's a famous singer with national recognition. So naturally, Catherine and her band were thrilled at the idea of sharing the stage. But there's a big difference between excitement and official confirmation. #, contradiction number 2. Turning down other gigs, here's where it gets messy. Catherine claims that on the same day she was waiting to hear about the TASE event, she got another offer to perform somewhere else, but turned it down because she thought she was going to perform at the Taste. But let's get this straight. Nobody had told her she was confirmed. There was no signed contract, no written agreement, no formal booking. She chose to turn down another gig purely on expectation, not obligation. And now, she's trying to pin the blame on the township for her missing out. But let's be real. If you voluntarily decline another offer before you're officially booked, that's on you. That's not how contracts work, and certainly not how professional bookings operate. #, contradiction number 3. I gave up my day without knowing the date. Here's the kicker. Catherine says, "I gave up my day." But how do you give up your day when you don't even know which day the concert is? According to her, she eventually found out the concert date had already passed when someone else mentioned it to her. So she turned down another performance and gave up her day without even knowing when the TASE event was happening? That doesn't make sense. If you're making sacrifices and clearing your calendar, you should at least know the date you're supposedly holding. This sounds less like a scheduling issue and more like a personal oversight. #, contradiction number 4. The \$800 claim now. Here's where the legal part kicks in. Catherine claims, "Well, in my contract, I stated that if you all fail to contact me, you should pay me \$800. Let's pause right here. First off, let's talk about contracts in legal language. Solid. Enforceable contracts don't use the word should. They use will, shall, or must. Why? Because those words carry legal weight. Should is a suggestion, not a binding obligation. So, when Catherine says, "You should pay me \$800, that's not a solid contractual term. That's more like wishful thinking. Imagine applying for a job and writing on your application, "If you don't hire me, you should pay me $1,000." It's absurd, right? That's not how contracts work. Catherine's argument sounds shaky at best. She's using casual, non-binding language and trying to spin it into a legal claim. But when you strip away the noise, it's clear there's no contractual basis for demanding \$800 just because nobody called her. #, the reality check. Catherine also mentioned she's been performing for the township for years, which adds another layer to the situation. She's presented herself as someone with a history, someone who's put in time and effort. But longevity doesn't automatically entitle you to special treatment or compensation, especially if there's no binding agreement for the current situation. It's also worth noting that Catherine didn't even know when she was supposed to perform. She says herself that she found out the concert date had already come and gone after someone else told her. If you're so invested and so certain you're on the lineup, wouldn't you at least make sure you know when you're supposed to show up? #, final breakdown. What's really happening here? Let's pull all the pieces together. 1. Catherine submitted a proposal but had no confirmed approval. 2. She was excited at the prospect of performing with a major artist, but never received formal confirmation. 3. She turned down another gig based on her own assumptions, not on a binding agreement. 4. She didn't know the date of the event and only realized she missed it after it was over. 5. She's now demanding $8,000,000, citing vague contractual language that doesn't hold up legally. This situation boils down to misplaced expectations and personal assumptions being framed as contractual failures. Catherine's argument hinges on emotional investment, her excitement to perform, her belief she was part of the event, not on actual documented obligations. #, why this matters. It's tempting to get caught up in the emotions and drama of the moment, especially when you've invested time, effort, and hopes into an opportunity. But when it comes to legal matters, emotions don't hold up in court. Contracts are about clarity, precision, and binding terms, not about how someone felt about a situation. Catherine's repeated appearances at township meetings, her impassioned speeches, and her public airing of grievances all point to someone who feels wronged. But feelings and facts are not the same. Without a solid, enforceable contract that spells out payment obligations, *will*, or must, her claim for $8,000,000 has little legal foundation. #, lessons for everyone watching this whole saga offer some valuable takeaways. White heavy checkmark, get everything in writing and make sure it's clear. Submitting a proposal is not the same as having a signed, approved contract. Make sure you receive written confirmation before you commit or turn down other offers. White heavy checkmark, understand contract language. Words like should are not legally binding. If you want a clause to be enforceable, it must use strong, clear terms like will or shall. White heavy checkmark, manage your calendar wisely. Don't hold a date for an event you don't have full details or confirmation for. Know when the event is happening and get it in writing. White heavy checkmark, know when to let go. There's a point where continuing to push a claim without strong legal backing becomes counterproductive. Publicly airing grievances without a solid foundation can damage credibility. #, the bigger picture at the heart of this issue is a township grappling with public perception, accountability, and transparency. Meetings like the one on March 25th and the most recent one are drawing attention, not just because of Catherine's complaints, but because they reflect larger tensions within the community. Residents want to feel heard. Performers and local talent want fair opportunities. Officials want to manage events smoothly. But these things only work when there's clear communication, reliable processes, and mutual accountability. Catherine's situation, while messy, underscores the importance of formalizing agreements and setting clear expectations on all sides. It's a cautionary tale, not just for Thornton Township, but for anyone navigating gigs, performances, or community events. So what do you think? Was Catherine treated unfairly, or is this a case of personal assumptions gone wrong? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe for more breakdowns, and share this video with anyone who loves some good local drama. Trust me, we'll be keeping an eye on what goes down at the next township meeting. This story is not over yet. Stay tuned. Back in July of last year, I was asked to perform at the Taste. I agreed. I said, in my contract, I stated that if you all fail to contact me, you should pay me $1,000,000. First things first, don't come at me with legal mumbo jumbo talking about should and might. Let me tell you something about contracts. Contract don't say should, they say will or must. That's the solid stuff that holds up in court. Should, that's soft, wishy-washy nonsense that won't stand a chance. So miss me with that. Before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe, share this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments. We're talking about the Thornton Township meeting that went down on April 22nd, but to understand it, we need to rewind to the March 25th meeting. A lady stepped up at that March meeting, throwing all kinds of heat at the trustees. Fast forward to April, and guess who's back? Yep, same woman, same complaints, still throwing the same shade. But you know me, I'm the one who cuts through the smoke and mirrors. So I went back and watched the March 25th meeting again. And honey, let me tell you, there's a whole contradiction going on. Let's break it down. Catherine Granberry, a township employee for 12 years, said she was asked to perform at the Taste last July. She submitted a contract/proposal the same day Angela asked for it. This was about a month and a half before the event. She kept asking in passing whether it was approved. Angela said nothing happened. Meanwhile, Catherine said she and her band, Lady and the Gent, were excited to perform on the same stage as Kiki Wyatt. Hold up, didn't she just say she didn't know if anyone had been approved? But then she's turning around saying they were already excited to perform alongside Kiki? Which one is it? That's a massive contradiction. You can't be unsure if you're approved, but also hyped because you know you're on the lineup. Kiki Wyatt is a Grammy-nominated singer. Of course Catherine was excited. She said, asterisk, wow, I can't believe I might get to do this. Keek's amazing. Asterisk, but here's where it gets messier. She claims that on that same day, or vaguely around then, she was offered another gig but turned it down because she thought she was locked in for taste. Pause. Nobody told her she was confirmed. There was no contract, no written agreement saying she was booked. So if she turned something else down, that's on her. That's her issue. And honestly, you can just feel it. She's puffing this up to make herself sound more important. Stick with me. She says, time passed, we missed the concert. I gave up my day, but wait. She also said she didn't even know the date of the concert. So how do you give up your day for something when you don't know when it's happening? Make that make sense. Eventually, she found out the concert had already happened. Then she said, asterisk, nobody contacted me. Asterisk, that's when she suddenly had a problem. But again, how are you canceling another gig for an event you supposedly didn't even know the date of? It's not adding up. Then there's a kicker. She says, asterisk, in my contract, I stated that if you all fail to contact me, you should pay me $1,000,000. Asterisk, stop right there. There ain't no should in a binding contract. A real contract says will or must or asterisk shall. Asterisk should is just a polite suggestion. You can't build an argument on a suggestion and expect it to stand up. Imagine applying for a job and writing on your application, if you don't call me back, you should pay me $1,000,000. That's wild. According to her logic, we should have all been collecting money every time somebody ghosted us, and we still haven't hit the root of it. She says, asterisk, I've been performing for the township for years. Asterisk, okay, great. But now you're upset because you couldn't secure a gig when you didn't even know the date, and you're yelling at everyone else? She came back to the April 22nd meeting, still pressing the issue. She said, asterisk, I'm not sending out any more emails. I'm standing on business now. You've been wasting my time. Asterisk, 3 things she doesn't play about: her money, her time, and her grandbabies. And for 7 months, she claims they've been playing in her face. She's mad because they paid another entertainer in advance, thousands of dollars. While she's left here begging for a check for a gig she didn't even perform. She turned down another paid event. She says, just to be part of this, because she was excited to share the stage with Kiki Wyatt. But now, she's left here, trying to collect money for something she never did. And let's be real, Kiki Wyatt performed in the rain in front of basically nobody, maybe 7 people. She delivered as if she were on the BET Awards stage. No audience. She deserved to be paid up front. That was beneath her. But Catherine, she didn't perform. She didn't show up. She didn't know when the event was. She keeps saying, asterisk, honor my contract. Asterisk, but even she admits the contract says, asterisk, you should pay me $1,000,000 if you don't contact me. Asterisk, that's not a binding demand. That's just a wish. Honestly, if everybody at that township meeting just chipped in $120, maybe $140, they could pass the hat, hand it over, and tell her to go mess with somebody else. Because right now, it's giving flip-flop realness. And we all see it. Let me break it down for you. Because clearly, this is going over some people's heads. What this woman is basically saying is, asterisk, oh, they're dumb. They don't know better. Maybe if I call them dumb enough times, they'll cough up the money just to shut me up. Asterisk, that's her whole strategy. But here's the problem with all the lawsuits this township is already dealing with. You think they're just going to hand her money over on top of that? You think they're going to say, asterisk, yeah, sure, here's a random $1,000,000 because you yelled loud enough at a meeting? Asterisk, that's a hard sell, lady. A real hard sell. So she stands there, all fired up, saying, asterisk, I want an answer today. I want to know what y'all are going to do. Asterisk, and the answer? Oh, nothing. They're not going to give you anything. Because you said asterisk should. Asterisk, that's the deal you made, remember? That's the deal you made with Tiffany. You want Tiffany's address? I'll give it to you so you can go raise hell over there, because that's where you need to be taking this fight. Not here, but please, please, don't let Trina get involved. Because if Trina is good at anything, it's hyping up the wrong energy. Your energy is already messed up. Trina will be in the background like, asterisk. Yep, knock that over. Let me break it down for you. Because clearly, this is going over some people's heads. What this woman is basically saying is, asterisk. Oh, they're dumb. They don't know better. Maybe if I call them dumb enough times, they'll cough up the money just to shut me up. Asterisk, that's her whole strategy. But here's the problem with all the lawsuits this township is already dealing with. You think they're just going to hand her money over on top of that? You think they're going to say, asterisk, yeah, sure, here's a random $1, 000, because you yelled loud enough at a meeting? Asterisk, that's a hard sell, lady. A real hard sell. So she stands there, all fired up, saying, asterisk, I want an answer today. I want to know what y'all are going to do. Asterisk, and the answer? Oh, nothing. They're not going to give you anything. Because you said asterisk should. Asterisk, that's the deal you made, remember? That's the deal you made with Tiffany. You want Tiffany's address? I'll give it to you so you can go raise hell over there. Because that's where you need to be taking this fight. Not here. But please, please, don't let Trina get involved. Because if Trina is good at anything, it's hyping up the wrong energy. Your energy's already messed up. Trina will be in the background like, asterisk. Yep, knock that over.